Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing a commander deck tech from the new Elder Dragon from Strixhaven, Galazeth. Now this is very similar to the Urza commander from Modern Horizons, starting to be old now actually. Very powerful effect of turning artifacts into mana production. So Galazeth, you have 4 mana, red-blue Elder Dragon, we're 3/4 with flying, but when in the battlefield we get a free treasure token. But the main big meaty part of this commander is artifacts you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color, spend it only on instant sorceries. So the deck is trying to be artifact themed for production for your instant sorceries, a lot of bigger spells to a little bit more greedy play. So the deck will rely heavily on treasure tokens, servos, thopters and mirs or mers, however you like to pronounce it. They will gum up the board, there will be your little mana production. Decks like this, the spells are more expensive, but they're worth it because you can use your mana production from your dragon, your artifacts to get there. So basically the game plan is we're going to build up a fortification through all the artifact building and board presence, which in itself will pay for the instant sorceries, board wipes, removal, all that good stuff. And because it's playstyle, we do have a lot of draw because we're trying to get a lot of things out early on, so heavy draw to keep us fueled. So for win conditions, we have a couple options here. Mechanized production, you just an enchantment, slap it on something, every upkeep you're making another token of that enchanted permanent, or artifact in this case. When you have 8 or more of the same name, boom, win the game. You're probably going to put it on a treasure token, make multiple treasure tokens and just get a free win. Another great option, Hellkite Tyrant. I can't believe the thing's $20 now, by the way. If you have 20 or more artifacts, you win the game. When it attacks, you can steal artifacts from your defending player if it hits them. Again, with treasure tokens, any of these artifact tokens, it's very easy to get there. And Broodclad can be an easy win con. Itself produces tokens, a 2/1 mer every combat, or your combats. All your creature tokens have haste, which is kinda nice, but not a big thing. But you can make all your tokens the same of one other token. So you can turn all your treasure, thopters, whatever, into mers, or maybe make all your things into thopters, fly over the board. And when you have maybe 20-30 tokens on the board, this could get you a free win there. And of course, being an artifact deck, we run the Lattice and the Darksteel Forge combo with the disc in there. The Lattice makes everything artifacts on the board, yours and theirs. Darksteel Forge says your artifacts indestructible, and the disc lets you destroy all artifacts, creatures, enchantments, but itself is indestructible thanks to the Forge, so your stuff remains perfectly fine, and their board just gets wrecked every turn for 1 mana. Very hard to get underneath it, you can't really win after that point, unless you can get a really good board wipe off for a bounce spell. So Lieutenants, these are the kind of other sub-commanders of the deck that really do help it push along. Saheeli the Gifted. She can make you more servo tokens, the 1/1 guys, which will tap for mana thanks to your commander, but she can also make things cost a lot less for each artifact you control, and that's also a +1. It's mainly here just for those first 2 abilities. Tezzeret, he does a bit of everything. He creates Thopter token with flying, which we care about for mana production. He can draw you cards, he can draw you more cards if you have a lot of artifacts. He's just a great option. Plus his ultimate just lets you get things out of your library every turn. Very powerful. Emery, she lets us play from the graveyard with the artifacts. You're probably going to play 1 thing a turn, but that's all you really need, just a little bit extra value here. Plus, she's a bit cheaper to cast thanks to all your artifacts on the board. Padim is just here for hexproof and all your artifacts, makes it a little bit more tanky with the indestructible combo on top of that. And Thas is here to keep resetting creatures to either get more ETB effects, like your commander getting another treasure token, maybe Mer Battlesphere where you can get more tokens on the board to increase your body count, or even just at worst, you're making another blocker again on that turn. So for actual token production, Saheeli, whenever you're casting any non-creature, which is a good chunky counter spells later on, you're getting tokens which in turn can tap for mana. Probably never going to bother with the neg2, maybe you could use it if you need to get a couple extra copies of something on the board, but you're here just for when you cast a non-creature, make another token. Now, Sai and Mirrodin Besieged both say when you cast an artifact spell, you get to create a token. One's a 1-flyer Thopter and one's a Mer token. To be honest, you could probably cut one of these. In hindsight now, I would probably cut Mirrodin Besieged because I'd rather have the 1/1 flyers plus the ability to draw cards through Sai. But great way to get body counts on the board. If your deck has a little bit more artifact presence, I would probably keep both. The brand new Stormkiln artist from Strixhaven, very powerful. He gets buffed up for each artifact you control, so he can become a huge fat boy by himself. But with Magecraft, every time you cast instant sorcery, you get a treasure token. So if you're just in there wheeling and dealing your cantrips, drawing a ton of cards, you're just getting a good token presence there thanks to him. Thopter's buy network is very self-sufficient, always can give you a token, plus if your little boys get through and deal damage, you get to draw some cards, nice to have. Metallurgic Summonings is kind of the epiphany of the deck. It's all tied in. You're casting Instant Sorceries, you get to create colorless artifact tokens based on the CMC of that spell, which those in turn tap for mana. It just, the whole thing piled together. And like I mentioned before, the Battlesphere enters the battlefield, you get 4 tokens. Between itself and the tokens, you're producing 5 mana, reset it maybe with Thus or other options, and bang, tons of mana right there. So for our removal, counter spells, board wipes, all that good stuff, because of the ability to tap for mana through our artifacts, we're going with bigger spells that are a bit more greedy, whether it be X spells or these big fat things. The Sublime Epiphany is amazing. Choose one or more. Counter a spell, counter activate ability or trigger ability, bounce an online permanent, create a token, or draw a card. Pick everything, man. Go for it, go nuts. You got Mystic Confluence, where you get to pick 3 options that you can double up. Pretty much Mana Leak, bounce a creature or draw a card. Spell Swindle, great option. Counter a spell, based on that spell CMC, you get treasure tokens. Ton on the board, again these treasure tokens are tapping for mana. A little bit more actual removal. Comet Storm, great mana sink for all your artifacts on the board. Just burn everything, everyone dead. Mizium Mortars, only creatures, but again you can feed all that mana into it and just burn the board dead. Cyclonic Rift is your best board wipe in blue, no doubt about that. It's still expensive, about $35. Capsize, I don't often play with it because it's pretty expensive at 6 mana with the buyback to keep bouncing things back, but you've got that many artifacts that can tap for mana thanks to your commander. It's actually an option, and it's permanent. Get their lands, make them cry. Electro Dominance, no-brainer in this deck. You get to deal a ton of damage based on how much mana you sink into it, and you get to play a card from your graveyard with CMC less than what you paid. Easy option in this deck. Then you've got Explosion, you're drawing a ton of cards and you're burning things dead. And then I've just got my selection of cheap counterspells like Counterspell, Mana Leak, Negate, Unwind, Vandal Blast just to hit a few artifacts. Just my cheaper annoyances for my opponent to deal with. Supporting themes, because we care about Commander's ability to let us tap for mana, we need to protect it. So Lightning Greaves, Swiftfoot Boots are an option. Commander's Plate, remember they can also tap for mana while they're equipped to a creature. Even better value there. Phyrexian Metamorph can be pretty much on anything on the battlefield that we need, and it's still an artifact so it can still tap for mana. Mirror Maid, I'm on the fence about it, it might go out the deck soon. If it enters the battlefield as a copy of any artifact or enchantment, it's cheap at 3 mana too, so you might find something juicy on their side of the board that you might want. The Aether Grid can kind of be a semi-win condition or annoyance for your opponent. You can tap down 2 artifacts to start pinging things for damage. Normally, not a great option, but the amount of tokens and artifact presence you have, just start pinging down creatures or wear them down, maybe chip away at their life every turn, keep planeswalkers in check. It's actually good value across the length of the game. They will have to deal with it. Acquire, another card you could take out, but it's just fun in a 4-player game. Look at your opponents, think who's got the best artifact in the deck, try and get yourself like a Great Henge or something and just laugh away. Solemn, the sad robot, just easy in his deck. He can draw cards, he gets basic lands, he's an artifact, love him. Now the Forge Master, this is where it gets dirty. Sack 3 artifacts, search library for an artifact card, put it into play. Use it to get your combo with Darksteel Forge and the Lattice out. Just set up the board presence, good luck to your opponent dealing with it. You got that many tokens you can sack, you're living the dream. I love playing with Forge Master. And leading into more tutor spells, Merchant Scroll to get any of those cool instants we want in blue, Counterspell, Cyclonic Rift all day long. And you got Fabricate, Reshape, and Whir of Invention just to get artifacts out of your deck. Reshape and Whir of Invention get them on the battlefield, and because you've got all that mana you can sink into thanks to your artifact presence, go and get Darksteel Forge or the Lattice and just straight into the board, establish that protection and win condition for yourself. Trinkets are little cheap pieces you can play that are going to tap for mana thanks to your commander, but offer a little bit of value while they're on the board while tapping for mana. So the Grafdigger's Cage stop people playing from the graveyard, doesn't really affect us unless you've got Emery out, don't really care that you're only impacting one of your own cards, but it just prevents you from graveyard shenanigans. Same with the Relic of Progenitus, you can start eating away in people's graveyards while you can tap for mana. Then you've got Pithing Needle, be that person, name the commander, but again still tapping for mana. Or if you know your opponent's library is a friend, you've seen what the deck can do, name the key pieces, make them hate you that little bit more. Witching Well is really fun, 1 drop, enters battlefield, scry 2, plus the taps mana, and if you need to later on, sack it, draw 2 cards. Great value for 1 drop. Onto draw, we have plenty of draw in this deck because we're always running through our hand. I'm really liking Seagate Restoration. Your 7 mana, again it'll be easy in this deck because all the mana you can produce, but you draw your hand size +1, so hopefully it'll be something decent, and then no hand size for the rest of the game. That's a pretty good spell. Pull from Tomorrow, cheap, just big X spell, draw a ton of cards and ditch 1. Good old Ristic Study, love it. Just every time your opponent casts something, you get to draw a card, unless they pay an extra one. Howling Mine, it's one-sided in this deck because people get to draw a card when the Howling Mine is untapped. Turn it off and on with the commander tapping it like a toggle switch. Pirate's Pillage is really good for this deck, with all the tokens it produces. You do have to ditch a card to play it as well, but you draw 2 cards and create 2 treasure tokens. Those treasure tokens will stay on the board and tap for mana. Thoughtcast, Affinity for Artifacts, gonna be hopefully a 1 mana drop in this deck, draw 2 cards, and I've got Brainstorm, Ponder, and Preordain, just so you little cheap spells there. Near the end tier, this is your mana, Ethereum Sculptor, just a cheap artifact creature, which itself can tap for mana and give you a reduction at the same time. What a boss. Storm the Vault, if you get to flip it, if you have 5 more artifacts, it taps for mana based on the number of artifacts you control. Very powerful in this deck. In most cases, you're going to play it, it's going to flip that turn, hopefully. Then you got Treasure Map. Every time you activate it, you scry 1, you put a counter on it. When there's 3 or more, you flip it. When you flip it, you get a ton of treasure tokens, but itself can sack treasure tokens to draw your cards. If you want to, a card you could cut out the deck pretty easy because you've already got a lot of heavy draw. In terms of actual mana rocks, we don't have that many in this deck because every artifact is a mana rock, but to get you started, good old Sol Ring, Arcane Signet, and Izzet Signet's really all you need. Onto the lands. Thanks to your commander's ability to make artifacts tap for any color, the Great Furnace, the Seat, and the Darksteel Citadel tap for any color you need. Just a little bit better improvement on the land. Reptile's a no-brainer because of the heavy draw we have. Mystic Sanctuary lets you get Instant Sorcery back on top of your library, and you got some real good bangers in this deck. Academy Ruins does the same effect, but for your artifacts, so if you lose anything important, slap it back on the top. The Tyrite Sanctum is something I'm trying a bit more, where you can make a legendary creature a god, and then make it indestructible, a bit of commander protection in the land slot, giving it a go anyway. And Venice Fair gets you life and lets you 2 for an artifact later on, and most times I would use it to get your combos if I can, like Darksteel Forge and the Lattice again, or protection for your commander. In terms of colour, nothing fancy, good old Command Tower, the Fiery Islet for more draw on the land slot, Temple Epiphany for that scry, and just simple Swiftwater and Sulphur Falls. Nothing fancy there. And we run 11 and 11 of each basic for the deck. Okay, I gotta say, Galazeth is a very strong commander. If you loved Urza and how broken he is, and remember, he's one of the top commanders of all time right now, this is a very strong commander by comparison. Yes, you do get an extra color, which is great, but the downside is your mana production is only limited to instant sorceries, but if that's your playstyle, you like spell slinging, you like countering, making your opponents cry, you're gonna love this commander. The trick is finding the balance between either artifact spells or artifact production versus your instant sorceries. That's the hard bit which I found with this commander deck. I've personally gone with permanents that can make artifacts passively or just generate them without much interaction. But if you want to, you could totally do the full every time you cast it, expel or artifact spell, create more tokens. But then that's taking up slots for your instants. So, gotta balance it out. Side note, totally random. The other artwork for this thing, don't like it. It looks like a goddamn penis dragon. Not, get rid of that shit, nah. OG artwork looks the best by far for it. But thank you guys. Let me know if there's anything you'd want to put in the deck, how would you like to run it. It's a very, very interesting commander, and I would be interested to see how far it goes up in the ranks. So let me know your thoughts, guys, and have a good one. Ta-ta. Thanks for watching the video, guys. If you enjoyed it, give the video a like, helps out the channel a lot. Any new commanders you want to see from Strixhaven, let me know down below. I'll try and go through the more popular ones. And please consider subbing, guys. Cheers. To my patrons, I can't thank you guys enough. Your direct support lets me keep my little channel, my hobby going. You guys are the lifeblood for it and dedicated to it. I honestly cannot thank you guys enough. You mean the world to me.